Tonight on Denver 7 News at 6.
Now I want to know why she was shot.
Adams County deputies told us a woman they shot and killed in January was armed. It appears they told us wrong.
The police department chose to tell a half-truth.
Plus, temperatures plummet.
Prosecutors lay out their case against the former president.
Impeachment exists to protect the American people from officials. It exists for a case just like this one.
Aurora officially closes the door on 3 disgraced cops.
I want my students to know that I trust our doctors.
Teachers lead by example.
And Boulder County grows tired of waiting on a train that may never come.
It's been delayed over and over again.
Good evening, everyone. Glad you're with us tonight. I'm Shannon Ogden.
Thanks for joining us. I'm Ann Trujillo. A woman shot and killed by Adams County deputies was not armed, as the sheriff's office previously claimed.
At least not according to the DA. They told our partners at the Denver Post that no gun was found at the scene. Denver7's Patrick Perez has our top story.
Stephen Rivoli wants an explanation.
It's just hard to grieve when you have no answers. There's no answers at all.
Adams County Sheriff's deputies shot and killed his sister Harmony Wolfgram last month. They say she was a suspect in a chase involving a stolen car. The shooting happened near East 25th Avenue and Gentry Place.
In a Facebook post the morning of the shooting, the Adams County Sheriff's Office says it had been alerted that Harmony had a gun. But Stephen heard from a detective a day later who said she did not have a gun.
The 17th Judicial District Attorney's Office told the Denver Post investigators also did not find a gun at the scene. Stephen says the mixed messaging and lack of communication has him frustrated.
I just don't understand how they can have a full story, but they can't release any information to the family.
The family's attorney, Siddhartha Rathod, says this is painting Harmony in a bad light.
They have an obligation to tell family members what happened when there's an officer-involved shooting. And that's not what's happening.
Stephen knows his sister wasn't perfect.
Don't get me wrong, she wasn't an angel, you know. She's obviously in a situation where she shouldn't have been in it.
But the details of what happened that January morning need to be released.
With the information that they've put forth and what has happened, nothing makes sense.
Now, Harmony's family is left wondering why.
We reached out to the Adams County Sheriff's Office to get more information about the shooting, but because it's still under investigation, a spokesperson referred me to the district attorney's office. I reached out to them, but we have yet to hear back. In Adams County, I'm Patrick Perez, Denver 7.
Thank you, Patrick. Commerce City police say a man admitted to shooting a burglary suspect as that person was trying to escape.
In an affidavit, officers write that William Schwett heard people breaking into the market below his apartment. He grabbed a rifle and started shooting at the getaway car. That driver, James Martinez, was killed. Schwett now charged with murder. He apparently asked police if Martinez was okay after confessing.
3 former Aurora police officers fired for making light of the death of Elijah McClain have lost their appeal to be reinstated. That includes Jason Rosenblatt, who was terminated for texting "ha-ha" in response to these photos mocking McClain's death. A review board called his actions incredibly thoughtless and said he put a bullseye on the department's credibility.
Aurora police tell us that child seriously injured in a hit and run Monday night is 6 years old. The crash happened yesterday evening at Havana and East First. No arrests have been made.
Attorneys for Dante Lucas again pointed to a lack of physical evidence tying him to the murder of Kelsey Schelling today. An officer confirmed they never found a crime scene and said police saw nothing unusual during visits to the homes of Lucas's mom and grandmother. Now, prosecutors countered that those visits came 6 days after Schelling's disappearance. Our sister station, KOAA, is covering this trial gavel to gavel. We recommend following reporter Colette Bordelon on Twitter for a full account of the events in court.
Gary Ridgway murdered at least 49 young girls and women before his arrest in 2001. Now, many of the victims were runaways, like 14-year-old Wendy Stevens, who disappeared from her Denver home in 1983 and was later found dead near Seattle. Dave Reichert was the lead investigator on this case. Then the case was known as the Green River Killings.
I went to scores and scores of families' homes, having to deliver that message that all these years you've been waiting, or months that you've been waiting, your daughter has been found, but she's dead. And I can't begin to describe the range of emotions that the different families would have, but those also remain with me.
We'll hear more from him, as well as a woman who recently helped lay Stevens to rest. That's tonight for you on Denver7 News at 10.
For the second time in little more than a year, former President Donald Trump is on trial. Democrats kicked off proceedings by showing footage of the Capitol riots, then laid into claims that the former president cannot be convicted because he is no longer in the White House. Trump's attorneys argued that impeachment is bad for the country.
Just imagine the consequences of such an absurd interpretation of the Constitution. I mean, if President Trump were right about that language, then officials could commit the most extraordinary, destructive offenses against the American people, high crimes and misdemeanors. They'd have total control over whether they can ever be impeached, and if they are, whether the Senate can try the case.
Shall the business of the Senate, and thus the nation, come to a halt, not just for the current weeks, while a new president is trying to fill out his administration, but shall the business of the Senate and the nation come to a halt because impeachment becomes the rule rather than the rare exception? I know you can see this as a possibility because not a single one of you ever thought you would be doing a second impeachment inside of 13 months.
Elected leaders have been impeached after leaving office in the past, so the prosecution does have precedent on its side. Now, regardless, several GOP senators told CNN they believe the trial to be unconstitutional and said nothing would change their minds. The trial continues tomorrow.
934 cases of the coronavirus and 22 deaths were reported by Colorado today. 538 people are in the hospital tonight. The positivity rate is 5.3%, and that's a little higher than we'd like.
And Contact Denver7 continues to hear from people frustrated by the state's unemployment system. There's Teresa Brooks. She's trying to recover money owed to her from December.
I have to pay my rent. I don't know what I'm going to do, and I can't find a job. I've looked everywhere for a job. I've been to everywhere. I've been to, where is this? Brookdale Nursing Facility, Manicare, Pepsi, Amazon, UPS, everywhere, Costco. I got one call back. Went to that one, went to the interview and still didn't get it.
Today, Governor Polis blamed Congress for the issues unemployed Coloradans are dealing with right now and said it is the state's priority to get benefits out as quickly as possible. Colorado administered 29,000 doses of the vaccine today. Many went directly into the arms of teachers.
Judging by the operation we witnessed today, Colorado's educators are right on schedule for getting their shots. Here's Gary Brode.
The time has come for educators and the 65 and older group to get their turn.
Relief, excitement, nerves a little bit.
Kelly Osuna is a Spanish teacher over at Overland High School, and now
you'll recover, you'll go around and recover for 5 minutes, okay?
Has a Band-Aid on her left arm.
And now to know that I can go into the classroom, and be able to go up to my students and not feel fearful for myself or for my family.
Here in this parking garage in Aurora, Stride Community Health administered 230 COVID-19 vaccines. Some to the 65 and older crew, but a majority were educators. Like this teacher who chose the most fitting song as she waited in line. Most of the educators here were from Overland High School, including their leader, Principal Alicia Armour, one of the first to get vaccinated Tuesday morning.
You know, anytime something's new or anytime you're the first in line to do anything, I think there's some nervousness and anxiety, but I feel good. I'm excited. I feel like there's a light at the end of this tunnel for us.
Like Osuna, Armour felt it was important to lead by example for their students.
We've been having conversations with our community for some time about the vaccine and conversations about trust with the medical community and especially with communities of color. So for me to see this all come to pass, I mean, I'm sure this is a moment that'll last in my mind forever, just to think that this is saving lives, literally.
Denver Health is waiting until Saturday for a mass vaccination of educators. Tuesday was focused on the 65 and up group, who are now eligible in the 1B2 group. Folks like 68-year-old Mike Monair, who received his first dose Tuesday.
I mean, I think anybody that can get the vaccine should get it as soon as they can.
Gary Brode, Denver7.
Denver7 will moderate a vaccine Q&A session tomorrow on Facebook Live.
Dr. Michelle Barron, the medical director of infection control and prevention at UC Health, will be our special guest. The conversation begins tomorrow at 3 o'clock on the Denver7 Facebook page.
Until then, just send your questions to 360@thedenverchannel.com.
Whose line is it anyway?
We haven't received a satisfying answer.
After 15 years of delays, RTD appears ready to abandon an old promise.
And what we're here to say is this is our reality now.
It was a chilly day today, but bitter cold air is heading our way.